There's a new wave of fighters in the UFC, and number 4 ranked featherweight fighter Arnold Allen is one of them. You may not have seen any of his highlights, but this guy is unstoppable at the moment. He's currently riding a 12-fight win streak, but his next fight is against one of the baddest fighters ever to cross the division, and that's Max Holloway. So does he have what it takes to get a win over Max Holloway? How are their fighting styles going to clash? And most importantly, if he wins, can he defeat the great Alexander Volkanovski? Well, just sit tight and relax, because we're about to find out. 29-year-old Arnold Allen is one fighter that you can tell is very hungry to seal his name among the greats. He joined the UFC in 2015 and has gone on an amazing 10-fight win streak. If that's kind of surprising that this kid has been on such a run and hasn't had a title opportunity, well, that's because Allen hasn't really been consistent. He had his first fight in June 2015 against a pretty unpopular fighter. To little or no surprise, he got the win by a guillotine choke in just the first round. From there, Allen had only 4 fights in 4 years before facing one of the toughest opponents till date, Gilbert Melendez. Now, it's not clear as to why Allen had only that amount of fights in such a time frame, but when he made his comeback against Melendez, it was explosive. If you don't know Melendez, let me be the first to tell you, this guy is a legend in the world of MMA. So defeating Melendez put Allen's name out there as a really tough force to reckon with in the UFC. Then he faced yet another tough opponent at UFC Fight Night 204. His opponent was Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker was just coming off a loss to Islam Makhachev in a lightweight bout. He really needed that win against Allen. However, Allen was able to prove his skills were superior by getting a win via TKO in just the first round. And then, did something similar in his most recent bout against Calvin Kattar back in October 2022. Now he's scheduled to face Max Holloway, who is without a doubt one of the greatest fighters in that division. So how do their skills compare? Well, first off, if you know anything about Allen, you'd know that this guy has a strong background in boxing and kickboxing, which he uses to great effect in his fights. He has excellent footwork and head movement, which allows him to avoid his opponent's strikes and set up his own attacks. He is also particularly skilled at countering his opponent's strikes with quick, accurate punches and kicks. But in addition to his striking skills, Allen is a strong wrestler and grappler. He has shown the ability to take his opponents down and control them on the ground, where he can look for submissions or ground and pound, just like in his Mons Bernal fight. And for us, we believe the best part of Allen's fighting style is that he's a very technical fighter with a high fight IQ, and that's what sets him apart. He is patient and methodical in his approach, always looking for openings and opportunities to exploit his opponent's weaknesses. Max Holloway, on the other hand, has a background in kickboxing and Muay Thai, which he uses to great effect in his fights. He has excellent footwork and head movement, which allows him to evade his opponent's strikes and set up his own attacks. Holloway is particularly known for his accurate and powerful punches, as well as his ability to throw combinations at high volume. And in addition to his striking skills, Holloway is a strong wrestler and grappler. But one thing that's specific to Holloway is his amazing cardio and endurance. And if for 1 second you look away from his fighting style and pay attention to what this man has single-handedly accomplished in the UFC featherweight division, you would be amazed. He's a former UFC featherweight champion, a former interim champion, and landed the most significant head and body strikes ever in a UFC fight, and is tied with John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and George St. Pierre for the 3rd longest winning streak in UFC history. If you've not gotten the memo already, get it now. This guy is a legend of the sport, and if Allen can get a win against him, then he'll definitely be the #1 contender for the featherweight title after the unification bout between Volkanovski and Jair Rodriguez. So what are the betting odds for the Allen-Holloway fight? Well, this might come as a shock to you, but Allen is a 2-1 underdog in this fight. And to be fair, this could be because Max Holloway has a heck of a lot more experience than Allen does. But this is MMA, and anything is possible. We personally believe this one is going to be typically one of those bloody dogfights where these guys just keep swinging their arms throughout. And if things get too heated for Holloway to deal with, we think he's going to put in his jiu-jitsu skills to get a few takedowns. They both have that one-punch knockout power, so it's hard to tell if either one would knock the other out. But at the end of the day, this might be a decision win for Holloway. Why? Because Holloway might outpoint him and put the pressure early on. The only way Allen can counter this is by using his reach advantage to keep Holloway away from the clinch and just throw his offense from the outside. When asked about the matchup on an episode of the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, Allen had this to say: It was the matchup I was hoping for when they announced the interim fight, so I was kind of not surprised. I was expecting it. But then the UFC doesn't always do what you expect. Sometimes they come out of left field with some, and I'm like, hang on a minute, what's going on there? But in a way, I was sort of relieved, because that was the next best option out there that wasn't an interim title shot. For me, I think this is bigger than that opportunity. Allen then continued by saying, he's only human, the damage has got to catch up to you. He's not much older than me, but he's been in crazy fights for a long time against top-tier athletes. He's given a lot of damage, but he always takes as much as he gives as well. But it's hard to say, really. He's there to be hit, and he takes a lot of damage. And you've got to agree with Arnold, Max Holloway is a sensational striker. Take his fight against Calvin Kattar, for example. Like, Holloway ragdolled this guy from the first second down to the last. It was a miracle Kattar even lasted till the final moment. Throughout the fight, Holloway utilized his impressive striking skills to repeatedly land punches and combinations on Kattar. He was particularly effective with his jab, which he used to set up his other strikes and keep Kattar at bay. Holloway also employed a variety of other striking techniques, including uppercuts, hooks, and kicks to the body and legs. He was constantly moving and switching stances, making it difficult for Kattar to anticipate his attacks. In the later rounds, Holloway began to showboat a bit, taunting Kattar and even dropping his hands to his side at times. Despite this, he continued to outstrike Kattar and never let up on his relentless pressure. Holloway landed more than 200 head strikes in that fight, more than 100 body strikes, and attempted over 700 significant strikes in that same fight. Thinking about it alone just sounds completely crazy, but it also goes to show what Holloway is capable of inside the octagon. But let's say for a moment, Arnold Allen does win the fight. Does it automatically make him the #1 contender for the title once it's unified? Not really. While it would push him into the top 3 spots on the rankings, many pundits believe he doesn't deserve that title shot because of his frequent injuries and lack of consistency in the promotion. The UFC would want a champion who's not MIA all the time. But speaking of champions, if Alexander Volkanovski wins the title unification against Jair Rodriguez, how would Arnold Allen face Volkanovski? Volk is undoubtedly one of the best and most relentless fighters the UFC has ever seen. His fight against Islam just solidified that. And while Max Holloway has been dominant against most of the men he's ever fought, Volkanovski is just that guy that seems to always have his number. So how would Allen face Volkanovski? Well, it would obviously be a stand-up fight as well, but we highly doubt Allen can win that one. Volkanovski is just too dominant, and it's kind of hard to even see him lose to Arnold Allen. And we say that with no disrespect. He might go the distance, but we see Volkanovski ragdolling him for the most part of this fight, just like he does for all his opponents. So maybe Arnold Allen does get the victory against Max Holloway. Maybe Volkanovski wins Jair Rodriguez and gets set to defend his title against Arnold Allen. And maybe, just maybe, you'll like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. But the truth still remains that Arnold Allen has a lot of potential to unlock, and the UFC has no idea what this man is fully capable of.